Well, on Tuesdays here on the Market Day Report, we get caught up with Ben Hushon at the mill and kind of get an update from him on how things look outside his back door. And we'll get to those grain markets here in just a moment. But first, Ben, welcome. What kind of weather is outside your back door? What's it been like?
Good morning, John. It has been beautiful, a little warmer than what we're used to, but that certainly helps us for folks that are trying to squeeze one more crop of hay or get a little more pod fill on their double crop beans. So it's been really nice weather for harvest. We had another 7 days without rain since we last talked.
Speaking of harvest, this latest crop conditions report shows everybody's in the same boat, so to speak, that harvest is just kind of lagging a little bit because you get started and then there's a little bit of wet grain. It just hasn't matured.
It's pretty interesting, John, as you know, all kinds of farmers, most of the farmers have gotten started, but most of them, many of them have stopped. They got started, they found some corn that was suitable, some 100-day corn, and they'd run. And then talked to another fellow last night. He said, I don't understand it. I'm still at 28, 30%. We've got some folks that have switched to soybeans and are finding some dry soybeans. It's hard to remember back to spring, but several folks said in the beginning of spring, our planting here was really spread out. A lot of folks were delayed. We had corn in the ground 3 weeks plus before it emerged. That pretty much sets the table for a delayed harvest in the fall till things get mature. But, John, as you well know, one thing farmers are not good at, and that is waiting and showing some patience. And it's hard. You see your neighbors starting to run, and gosh, as my father has told me many times, it's his favorite thing in the world to do is climbing a combine. So we understand why they want to get going.
Oh, absolutely. That's still my favorite thing to do. While we're on the topic of combine, this is going to be one of those years, I think, when we're going to want to turn the squelch down pretty close on these yield monitors and check behind the combine a lot, because from what I understand from a lot of producers, there's a lot of varying field conditions all the way across this field. And, boy, I tell you what, we want to prevent all the loss we can out of the back of the machine.
You do, John. That's a great point. And I would say it's 2017. If you haven't already done it, get a hold of somebody to get out and calibrate the yield monitor. For those of you that have it, you've got that incredible diagnostic tool. I would just encourage you to spend a little bit of money. And you know what? A year ago, somebody shows you how to use that technology. There's nothing wrong with getting somebody to help you get started and make sure you capture that data. And especially in a slow harvest year, you know, you've gotten started, you got anxious, you got going, reach out to them, check, get some help, get some guidance. The other thing, as I was reminded by Mark Sultanfuss's newsletter here from Nagel's this week, get out of that combine. And I sent, for those that are in the combine now, you can't see it, but I walked a couple fields this morning, and two kernels per square foot is a bushel. So just visualize 4 $1 bills laying down there, and that it's slow down. It's not a rush. Do it right, because all of that, you just got to visualize. Instead of seeing kernels, you got to see dollar bills laying in the field, so that, again, varieties, John, as you said, as you change varieties, you change farms, you change moistures, just climb out of that thing after you run 100 feet or two and walk behind it and see what's happening.
Yep, that's a very good point. Ben Hushon in the mill in Whitehall, Maryland. Ben, it's always good to talk to you. Again, thank you very much for the photos for our viewers here on RFD TV, and we look forward to talking to you next week.
John, I hope your viewers and listeners have a safe harvest week this week.
Indeed. Couldn't agree with you more. All right, stick around and stay tuned. We need to get to all of the numbers, both livestock and grain. That's straight ahead here on the Market Day Report.